She sent them packing to a cheap motel, lonely to find out the next morning he owned the entire hotel. The lobby of the Sterling Heights Hotel in Santa Monica was alive with activity. It was a Friday night, and every corner buzzed with the energy of wary travelers checking in, bellhops maneuvering luggage carts, and the soft fume of conversations bouncing off the polished marble floors. This was an ordinary hotel. Its grandeur was unmistakable. Towering palm trees framed the entrance, and a chandelier that cost more than most homes glimmered in the center of the ceiling. Behind the front desk stood Rachel, mid-30s, confident but visibly worn down from the day's relentless pace. She had spent the last 12 hours juggling demanding guests' last-minute room requests and the occasional irate caller who swore their reservation was somehow lost. Tonight, Rachel was in a mood for more surprise. Her uniform, crisp in the morning, now bore the faint wrinkles of a long shift, and her patience was threadbare. It was in this controlled chaos that the lobby door swore a man walked in, unremarkable at first glance, dressed in Adidas sneakers and a hoodie that looked like it had seen better days. She carried no luggage, just a leather messenger bag slung over one shoulder. The man paused, scanning the room as if searching for something, or someone. His appearance barely turned ahead. Guests continued their conversations, and staff moved about with purpose. He was just another late night walk-in. But there was something about the way he carried himself. His casual stance didn't match the nervous energy of most last-minute guests. She exuded a calm assurance. Cease if the bustling world around him was merely background noise. The receptionist noticed him too, but not for his quiet confidence. Instead, it was his disheveled appearance that sparked her judgment. Rachel gave a quick glance toward the man as she approached the desk. Suppressing a sigh, she could already feel her irritation bubbling to the surface. In her experience, late-night walk-ins were usually a hassle, either someone trying to haggle for a better rate or an exhausted traveler who wouldn't take an avora. Nanswerin, judging by this man's appearances, she thought she knew exactly which category he'd fall into. Good evening. The man said, his voice calm and unassuming. Would you like to book a room for the night, please? Rachel forced a smile, the kind that barely reached her eyes. Unfortunately, we're fully booked tonight, sir. She replied, her tone brisk but polite enough to remain professional. She tapped a their keyboard, pretending to confirm what she already knew. The man didn't react immediately. Instead, he tilted his head slightly, studying her with a mild curiosity that made her shift uncomfortably. Fully booked, hesked his voice, even not a single room available. Rachel stiffened, sensing a potential argument brewing. That's correct. We've had every busy day, and all our rooms are occupied. She motioned toward the lobby full of guests, as if to enforce her point. There's a motel a few blocks down. They might have availability. Her words hung in the air, and for a moment she thought she saw a flicker of amusement cross his face, but it was gone as quickly as it came, replaced by a faint smile. Hat. Didn't ought. Hi-oh. That didn't quite reach his eyes. She leaned slightly on the counter, meeting her gaze. No cancellations, nooptions at all, hesked his tongue, carrying not race of frustration, only curiosity. Rachel felt the irritation flare. Why couldn't they just take her answer and leave? Sire, I don't think this is the right place for you, she said, her voice slipping into a more condescending tone. Like, Zed, there's a motel nearby. They'll probably have something that fits our situation. Your situation here. He's flicked over his hoodie and jeans, the implication clear. This wasn't the place for someone like him. The man straightened, his expression unreadable now for a moment. Rachel thought they might argue, but he simply nodded and stepped back from the counter. Thank you for your time, he said, divinely. Turning to leave, he walked toward the lobby's seating area instead of heading for the exit, settling into a corner chair with a clear view of the front desk. Rachel couldn't help but glance his way every 10 as she continued her work. What was she doing? Why hadn't they left? She couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to this man than met the eye, but she quickly dismissed. Their job was demanding enough, without worrying about random guests who didn't belong here. Still, something about the way he sat there, quietly observing, made her uneasy, but she brushed it off. After all, what could he possibly do? As the minutes dragged on, Rachel tried to shake off the strange sensation of being watched. The man hadn't moved from his corner seat, this eyes occasionally scanning the lobby, but often landing back on hers. He told herself it didn't matter. He was just some random guy who didn't take an answer, nothing more. Still, her frustration grew with every sideways glance. By the time the clock struck 11, the lobby had begun to quiet down. The crowd of guests dwindled, leaving Rachel with a manageable IA workload.